Hey Jonathan, it's so good to meet you again and just talk about these difficult times. I think the previous conversation, which was not recorded unfortunately, we did talk about faith and religion. And in my opinion, it's obvious that Hamas is waging a religious war.
Yes.
They're using religion as a way to propagate their faith and show to the world, just like 9/11. So now, as Jews and Christians, we should also be taking up the name of religion, I think, because if not, how can you? It's very difficult to actually view this war from a pure secular point of view, because it does not make sense for a group to just hate another group, no matter what the other group does. Like they just want to exterminate this group, not even knowing people from the other side. So obviously, we're talking about a very deep spiritual kind of attack or mindset.
Yes.
So I know you've been involved in Christian-Jewish kind of like collaborations. Maybe could you expand on that, how Christians, because most of our audience are Christians, like how can they support? You talked about the signatories, yes, but what else do you think we could do?
Well, first of all, I'm so glad that you're taking this kind of direction in the conversation, because my sense, having done this for a while, building bridges between Jews and Christians, is that we've never in history, I don't mean the history of the state of Israel, I mean the history since Jesus, we've never seen the unity of Jews and Christians together like this. We've never seen unilateral Christian support for Israel and the Jewish people like this in 2,000 years. And that is so heartening for Orthodox Jews and Israelis like me, to be able to see it, to be able to be part of it, and to be able to tell others how important it is. And yes, it is a spiritual war. And we've discussed things in previous conversations. It's no secret. We have theological disagreements, but we have so much more that we agree upon. Foremost, that we are the only people who actually worship the Creator. And we have, I think I did an interview yesterday with someone in California, I think, and he was California, and he raised the issue of how simple human behaviors need to be from a biblical perspective. And I said, yes, but we need to highlight that these are biblical perspectives, that these are Jewish and Christian perspectives, because too much of the world right now is denying God and denying the evil and making excuses for the evil. So I really think that this is a critical time, and how Christians can participate and be with us. Obviously sign our petition. Everyone around the world should do that with any sense of morality. Pray. You need to pray. Praying is free. You can do it any time of day, anywhere in the world you are, in any language, and have some intimate time with God. I refer to it as flooding his inbox. We need to. We must make sure, there we go, more rockets being fired. So we've also started an Israel emergency campaign, and many Christians are giving a lot of money to a lot of things, and I encourage that. But I also encourage Christians to give carefully, because I think you know this about me, I'm always careful of what I refer to as the objectification of Christians as a faith-based ATM. Just because you have a lovely heart and love Israel and the Jewish people doesn't mean that you should be fooled by people who are just trying to get your money and not really doing things with good purpose or good delivery. So be careful about that. And advocate, know the truth. Know your biblical history, know modern history, and know the truth. And that doesn't mean that we should be indifferent to the genuine suffering that's taking place in Gaza right now among civilians. The problem is, this is a war that they brought on, and we were discussing offline. I'd much rather that we not be in this situation. We shouldn't be. We could coexist. We could coexist beautifully. They could. I've been using the analogy since the beginning. They could have built a Singapore. They could have had one of the most magnificent, prosperous entities, geographic entities, and they didn't. And they chose to invest in weapons and bunkers and hate. So people just need to know that and stand with us. And if you have questions, I'm always available. But you're available. You know the history. You live here.
Yeah. So, you talk about coexistence, and you yourself, it's a living example of that by living in the area what's called the West Bank, but it's biblical Judea and Samaria.
Right.
But you just told me that the situation there today, it's somewhat different after October the 7th. Can you describe more about that, about what's happening in your neighborhood and between Jews and the Palestinians or Arabs there?
Sure. It's not somewhat different. It's profoundly different. It's changed radically, and I don't know that it will ever go back. And I don't say that with any glee. I used to point to where we live as a perfect example of coexistence. Maybe not peace in the formal sense of peace between states, maybe not love, but respectful coexistence. And that's hard for people who are overseas, who just hear West Bank and settlers and think that we're all out to harm and kill the Arabs. That's not the case by far. But what we've seen in our community and in communities all over, it's not just in Judea and Samaria. It's all around Israel. There's a tremendous lack of trust of Arabs now. And it pains me to say that. I'm not happy about it. We've had dozens of Arab workers in our home. They built our home. They as far as I know, they're good people. But I think the people living in the Gaza envelope communities who were attacked 40 days ago, 39 days ago, however many days it was, also had the very same Palestinian Arab workers in their homes, in their communities. So we just don't know. And there's a tremendous lack of trust and a tremendous lack of interest in even restoring trust. We need to protect ourselves. And I think that's the prevalent feeling.
Right.
And I think we as Israeli Jews now, you know this, you've been living here for a long time. You know that until the war, we were probably at some of the greatest disunity that this country has ever seen in history. And now, on one day, it flipped. We have the greatest unity that this country has ever seen. So I'm praying that unity will continue, and I'm praying that we can all find ways to disagree about the things that we're going to disagree upon civilly and build going forward.
Nice. So that sounds like a miracle, what you just mentioned. In one day, this unity become unity. And I see that.
It is, so right?
Encouraged. And maybe could you just then now introduce briefly about your book called Israel the Miracle.
It is. Israel the Miracle. Israel the Miracle, we've just published it. People can go to israelthemiracle.com to get a copy. This was conceived just a year ago. And the idea, it seems so distant now, celebrating Israel's 75th anniversary. We're in the 75th year. But this is you can't read the small print. It's 75 essays by 75 Christian leaders from all over the world. It was super important for me that we have every continent represented except Antarctica. I don't know how many Christians there are in Antarctica, but we don't have that one. Full disclosure. But this is stunning, and unfortunately the war put off the production and delivery. But it's on its way. We have the first 1,000 copies here in Israel, and the remaining thousands are on a ship to America right now. But it's absolutely stunning. Actually, my next meeting is at CBN, and what we've done, Kenny, it's really beautiful. We moved the very first essay, all of it's alphabetical, right? So it needs to be. You have to start with A, so you don't prioritize. Except we did prioritize. We moved Pat Robertson to the front.
Okay.
Because he passed away just a few months ago, so we made a notation here on his essay that this is his. During the editing of this book, we were saddened by. It's very emotional for me. Saddened by the news of Dr. Pat Robertson's death. We are blessed that he's part of this book, and that these may be his last public words on Israel. In his memory and with great respect, and because he was the giant that he was, we have elected to place this essay first.
Amen.
It's a proper tribute, and now I believe, even though that the whole publication and the delivery has been delayed because of the war, I think that because of the war, this is even all the more significant.
Yes, I feel so too. And ladies and gentlemen, for those who are listening in, this is a book in which I feel it's a blend in what God is doing in the natural world. But you need to have spiritual eyes to see this. And one critical aspect of understanding this whole puzzle is to understand that Israel is still a work in progress. All right, it was a land that was promised by God to the Jews, but I think God also left part of that job to Christians, and this is what this book is all about, and how Christians and Jews would work together to actually try to build the kind of with the unseen eye, with the eyes of faith, to build this land, with all its difficulties, with the wars and everything, into one that it's really the land of promise where people can look to it, and also to see God's hand in action. And so we invite you to be part of that action. Okay.
If I've said anything worthwhile, everything you just said overshadows what I just said. It was beautiful. That was beautiful.
No, it just came from the heart. I just felt.
But it is your heart.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, I admire that.
And I think you did a wonderful job with this book. So congratulations. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, welcome.